Today I want to show you the exact system that I use to grow my personal brand on Instagram from 400 followers to over 10,000 followers in just 6 months. And the crazy part is I did all this spending just about 4 hours per month making content and without wasting a ton of money on paid ads. So if you're spending hours every single week making content, but you're struggling to grow and attract customers from your content, then it's likely because you're missing one of these 3 key elements that I want to show you today. Now, in case you're new here, my name's Josh, and I built my first online business using content to multiple 6 figures. And I've spent the last 8 years now helping other online businesses grow using content as well. This is literally all I do all day, every day, is turn views from content into customers for your business. Now, before I waste any more of your time, I just want to really quickly explain who exactly this system would help the most and who it would maybe not be as helpful for. This content system I'm going to be showing you is specifically for online business owners who have something to sell. So online coaches, consultants, or anyone who has a course or some sort of an educational info product to sell. This is not going to be for any entertainment channels with nothing to sell, or for faceless creators, or for muggles who've never created any sort of content or sold anything online before, or local businesses who are selling things locally but don't have anything to sell online. There's a different strategy involved for those type of businesses. So this is very specifically for anyone who's trying to build their personal brand using educational type content to ultimately sell some form of an info product or service. So you're ideally already making some sales, you're maybe making some content already, and possibly even running some ads to drive traffic to your offer, but you're just not growing or really building that brand that you want, and it's just a pain to make content. So you're looking for a smooth, automated system to grow and to ultimately sell more of your online services. So if that sounds like you, then let's dive in. All right, now if I had to guess, I imagine your relationship with making content is much like mine was a few months back when I only had 400 followers, which means this is likely your content strategy that you're using right now that's making you feel so burnt out. Monday morning, you open up Instagram and you see one of your less talented competitors posted some new piece of content onto their social media, and it's getting a ton of likes and comments. Now you're wondering what the hell you're gonna post for the week. So you spend hours scrolling through other creators, trying to get some ideas, figure out what works, and second guessing every one of your ideas. Probably asking yourself, what the heck is the point of even doing all of this, right? Whatever, you decide on an idea and you start filming, but it takes you like 15 different attempts because you don't like the way you look or sound on camera. Whatever, it's good enough, right? So let's just see if we can fix it up in the edit. So you open up CapCut on your phone and you start cutting up the clips, but you realize really quickly that you're not an editor, and so you don't know how to add all this fancy text and music and cool transitions like you see online. So you just add some basic presets, you add a trending song on Instagram, and you post it up. 2 hours later, your video has like 20 views, no comments, no likes, and you just spent half your day making this thing. Meanwhile, the creator that you saw from earlier has tons of more likes and comments on their post and is posting stories sharing about how they're getting all these new leads and new sales from their content. Sick. See, this old way is taking too much time, and this whole not really knowing what you're gonna post type of technique is why you're feeling so burnt out every time you go to post. And ultimately, this is just making your brand look weak with all of this mid content that isn't even really valuable or helping your brand or helping you sell more of your product or service, which means you're missing out on tons of traffic or potential new customers if you don't figure this out. And even if you're getting clients from running paid ads, you're probably paying a ton of money per lead, and you're likely not getting the kind of conversions that you want to justify even continuing to pay for ads. And the worst part about paying ads when you don't really understand how to make good content or don't have a good personal brand built, they come to your profile and just see a low following with some really horrible content, and they just get turned off, lose trust right away, and potentially think you're less professional than they initially thought when they saw your advertisement. See, last September when I only had 400 followers, I actually was posting some pretty high quality content. I knew the quality was great, and the topics that I talked about were actually really helpful. I just was struggling to actually reach the people that I wanted to reach, and I just had no way of knowing what to post, when to post, or how to actually grow. I already had a paid offer that I was ready to sell. I just was having a hard time actually finding people to buy it from my content. I needed a strategy that would help me grow, but specifically the right type of audience that would ultimately want to be buying my offer. I wanted like a full roadmap to show me when to post, what to post, and how to post so that I didn't feel like I was just randomly making content every time I posted something up. More like a routine schedule that I could stick to as opposed to these random bursts of inspiration. I wanted more views on my content, but I really wanted to be reaching the right type of people with this content. But most importantly, I wanted viewers to find my page and to feel like my content provided so much value that they just instantly build trust with me and become like a super fan of my content, ready to buy from me as soon as I offer something to them. That's the quality of brand I wanted to build, and probably the kind of brand that you're looking to build as well. Not like these cheesy, watered down brands that a lot of these coaches or other online business owners are creating. But to stay consistent with that quality of content, you need a system to help you spend less time making content and spend more time doing the things you enjoy in your business. Because at the end of the day, none of us are here to become influencers or make content all day. And we're also not just trying to pay for every customer we get through paid ads. Now, this is actually where most gurus and coaches are split and disagree, because there are two sides of this argument. Half of these coaches are saying organic content is the way to go. All you need is one viral video to blow up your business and you'll have tons of traffic. You don't need paid ads if your content is good. But the other half are saying that organic content is super unpredictable and it's way too much work to make that much content when you're trying to get leads consistently to your business. Making content isn't the focus. Getting new customers into the business is what you should be spending your time doing. And I agree with both of these sides of the argument here, because technically they're both right. You do need both of these things to succeed. You need organic content with some views and a following so that people trust you and actually can get nurtured from the value that you're providing with your content. But you also need predictable and consistent leads coming into your business every single month, not just praying for your next viral hit, because going randomly viral isn't going to just blow your business up overnight. But spending thousands of dollars on a crappy ad isn't going to make you a millionaire either. Your content is like the spark, but having a powerful funnel and some paid ads behind that is like adding fuel to the spark. Together, you get a raging fire. So after realizing all of this stuff, I decided what I ultimately needed was a bulletproof strategy for attracting the right type of customers with my content. I needed a powerful content system for producing months worth of content in just a few hours worth of my time. And I needed an automated funnel on the back end that would convert my viewers into customers automatically. And from there, if I were to put some paid ad dollars into this system, well, that, my friends, is what I like to call my viral funnel formula. This is my full system from beginning to end so that you can do the same for your business. And this is gonna have a ton of actionable tips. So make sure to whip out your handy dandy notebook and follow along here, because there's gonna be a lot of things you're gonna wanna write down and apply right away. I even made some slides to make this a bit more visual and easy to follow along. So go ahead and grab those notebooks and let's dive in. All right, here we are inside of the viral funnel formula, right? So again, this is the exact system that blew my Instagram up from this 400 followers to over 10,000 in just 6 months and took my online business to completely new levels. Now, there are three main parts to this. We have the heat-seeking content strategy, we have your AI-powered content system, and we have the superfan funnel, right? The heat-seeking content strategy is how you can always know what to post and when to post it, right? This is how you attract your ideal customer without spending hours researching and second guessing yourself. So this is crucial for creating any type of content, is to have a strategy, but more specifically, a heat-seeking content strategy that is like a heat-seeking missile to search for and find your ideal customer and deliver the kind of content they need right when they need it. The second part is this AI-powered content system, right? So we're going to be using AI to power your content so you can do a lot more work with a lot less of your time. This is how we pump out content consistently in just a few hours per month to get the attention and views without being glued to your phone all week and getting burnt out making content every single day. And the last step here is the superfan funnel. This is how you turn your viewers into buyers by nurturing your audience and sending leads directly to your inbox on autopilot from your content. This is just a system that literally takes your viewers and delivers them to your DMs saying, hey, I'm ready to work with you, all without you having to do any work yourself. Now, you need all three of these to work together. Now, each of these three steps have some sub parts or subsections, and that's what I'm going to break into in this presentation so that you can have the entire system ready to use for yourself. All right, to start out, let's dive into the heat-seeking content strategy to, again, turn your content into a heat-seeking missile that'll find the ideal customer or person that you want to be selling to and deliver your content directly to them. So this is the strategy that I used to find my first viral video idea that popped off and really helped me to get to that first 10,000 followers. Just to show you a little bit of what this strategy did for me, this is my first video here that popped off and got over 1 million views, 1.1 million views. You can see it brought me in over 8,000 follows just from this one video in the span of a few months. It got me a ton of likes, comments, saves, and shares were through the roof, which is a big reason why this thing blew up, is because it was getting shared to so many people and it got a ton of comments, right? 4,000 comments. So every time I was opening up my Instagram, this is what my notifications looked like. They were just flooded, and people were constantly DMing me saying, looking for more information, looking to get more content from me as far as like, how are you actually doing this? Do you have more tutorials? Do you have more ways that I could work with you? All this stuff. And this is what blew me up to the 10,000 follower mark right here. So the very first I in the 3 I's of our heat-seeking content strategy is called the IVA, or your ideal viewer avatar. So your viewer is basically your customer. We're not trying to make content for anybody here. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see clients that I work with, and that even I myself made when I first started making content, is just not knowing who to speak to, or not speaking directly to somebody when you're making your content. I think it's very common to want to just help everybody and to say, well, this could be helpful to any person, right? So I want to try to speak and reach as many people as possible. But this is actually a surefire way to reach nobody and to actually just appear very unvaluable or very unspecific to any one type of person, right? It's going to seem so generic that you're really not very helpful to anybody. What we're wanting to do is to really narrow down on one specific type of person here, right? And we want to figure out who they are specifically, because they have problems, they have pains, they have, current beliefs or desired outcomes that they're trying to achieve. And we need to really figure out what those things are if we're going to be making content or an offer to them that's going to actually compel them enough to want to buy, right? So all of these pains, all of these problems that they're facing, these current beliefs, maybe these misbeliefs or misconceptions they might have, ultimately to get to a desired outcome where they're trying to get, which is something that you can help them achieve, right, with your product or service. These become topics for your videos. These are what we're going to talk about in all of our content, right? This is how we know what to be talking about, and how to get ideas is all based on what the person that we're making this content for, what are they dealing with? What are their problems? And how can I help them, right? That's what we should be talking about with our content. We want to stick to one person and one main problem consistently long enough. And this is how you get massive growth, right? So many people talk about consistency on social media and saying, oh, you need to post consistently, or you need to, stay consistent with your quality or your messaging or whatever. What they really mean is staying consistent with who you're talking to and what you're helping them with. If you're all over the place with your content and you're never really that consistent as far as the person and problem that you're helping with, you're never going to find any traction or grow your business, because you're never going to really find that audience of people who look to you as an expert and someone they're ready to buy from. If you can stick to one person and one main problem consistently long enough, this is where you see that massive growth. Now, the other key here is to just make sure that all of this, the problems that your customer is facing, the type of person you're speaking to, and your offer are all in alignment, right? If you are selling something like a service or a product, and it has nothing to do with the type of content that you make, if you're sharing, very inspirational lifestyle content that has nothing to do with the problem that your product or service solves, then why would anyone ever think to buy that product or service from you when you mention it? We want to make sure that you align every problem or pain point to each step that your product or your offer helps them solve, right? So let's say you're a fitness coach and you're helping someone lose weight through working out, doing weightlifting, some sort of cardio workouts, and through some sort of nutritional plan, right? You're going to be giving them tips on what to eat and when to eat, what to be doing in their workouts, and how much cardio they need to be including in order to reach their goals, right? Their desired outcomes. And so each of these steps, the weightlifting, the cardio, and the nutrition, are each like sub-steps of your offer, or these are potentially content pillars that you can be making content about, right? So these are the topics that we cover. These are the things that you want to consistently come back to for one specific person and their one specific problem, right? If you really line that up with your offer, this is how your content speaks directly to someone and makes them feel like, wow, I found the perfect person. I'm so ready to buy from them because everything they talk about is what I'm currently, working on or dealing with or struggling with. So this is how you build out your content strategy, so to speak, right? Or your exactly the topics that you want to talk about is directly from one person's problems and their pains, their current beliefs, all those type of things. Those become your topics. And once you have this list of topics or pains or problems or whatever, you never will run out of ideas of content to make, because you always have this list of things that you can continuously come back to and just circle back and keep helping people with. Now, a pro tip here is if you take all this information or all this data that you're gathering about your ideal viewer avatar and you feed it into an AI agent, right? This is my custom AI agent that I built. I spent months developing this and kind of coming up with the perfect formulas or the overall strategies that I use to create content and put them all into this one custom AI chat GPT bot so that anybody can use it. And basically what it does is it takes all that information, right? All of your problems, pains, and struggles from your ideal viewer, and it will give you new ideas, new strategies, a posting schedule, and even help you write emails, ad copy, or landing pages specifically to that customer, right? Basically, every time you open up a new instance of your viral content agent, it right away asks you a handful of questions about your business. So it'll ask you, hey, what are your goals here? What type of content are you trying to make? And specifically, what type of person are you making this content for? So you can see this is a little kind of like screen recording of me using it here. It wants to understand your brand. It wants to know what you do and what you're selling. It wants to know what your goals are, and it wants to know who your audience is. So all of those pains and problems that you gathered when you were developing your IVA, you can copy and paste that in here to this viral content agent, and it will now know everything about your business, your customer, your goals, and it'll help you to create content and ideas and structure out infinite possibilities. And I'll dive into this much later when we get into the content section. I just wanted to tease this and let you know that all that information you're gathering isn't just for your own personal records. It's so that you can train your AI agent to help you do this 10 times faster. So after you've gathered all your information about your IVA, you have a little notebook filled out with all of the pains you can think of, all of the problems, all of the misconceptions, all of the desired outcomes, everything that that one specific person would want. Now we can go through and start to figure out some inspiration. This is the second I of the strategy here. And that is basically just building a creator list, right? So these are other creators, personal brands, business owners, coaches, whatever, who have your ideal audience already built, and they're speaking directly to your IVA already, right? So these can be creators or business owners that have a very similar offer to you, or they sell something very similar, or they just make the type of content that you think resonates really well with the type of person that you're trying to sell to. These are the type of people we're trying to find, and we want to gather a list of about 5 to 10 people. Now, we want these people to have a pretty big following and to be posting content that does pretty well, right? You can find smaller businesses or smaller creators, but we really want to find inspiration from people who are crushing the game and who are just really dominating this space. So we're not looking to really get inspiration from the exact type of content they make so that we can like copy them directly. We're really just looking to get inspiration from what topics are they talking about? What are the things that resonate well with their audience, right? You can see in the comment section of their videos, what people are liking and what people aren't liking. And this is going to give you just tons of inspiration when it comes to making your own content, to have this list of these creators. Now, we want to take note of the type of content that they're posting, right? And what do you like about it? And what do you not like about it? Maybe you want to, take a few things from one creator and a few things from another creator, and you say, the combo of these two creators is the exact type of style or the overall tone of voice that I would like to achieve. Again, this isn't so that you can copy them directly. It's more just we're getting inspiration and we're getting ideas of what content they post that works well, right? That's done well for them, gotten them good results, or gotten them tons of views, a good following, or made them a ton of sales, right? And the last thing is to just save some of these videos. So as you're going through these creators and you find some pieces of content you like, maybe you find one that's just super helpful. Maybe you find one you're like, ooh, that was really cool. It was really engaging. I stayed watching through the whole video. I really liked something about it. Even if you don't know exactly what you like about it, just go ahead and start saving any of these videos that stand out to you. And we'll come back to them in these next couple steps. I'll show you exactly what we're going to do with these later. But for now, you just want a list of 5 to 10 creators who make content specifically for your IVA or your ideal viewer avatar. And we want to just kind of start to save some of their best performing videos or videos that you like best, so that we can have this list of inspiration to come back to. Okay. So go through, take some time to do that, develop out a list of these people. You can follow them and make sure to, take note of what they're posting. All right. Now here we are on the third I for the heat seeking content strategy, which is interval. Now, interval just means how often are we posting, right? So how frequently are we showing up? Your posting schedule doesn't need to be very complicated, right? So many people overcomplicate this and think you need to show up every single day with multiple posts and, basically become an influencer in order to really grow a business. But the truth is, If you're providing quality content to a very specific person, you're going to grow just fine by posting 3 to 6 times per week. And this is total, like reels, carousels, stories, everything, right? You don't need to be all over the place all the time. The more you can post, the better. Obviously, there's more chances for people to find you and see you, obviously. But really, you just want to be posting reels and stories, frequently enough that people are reminded who you are, know who you are, and what you can help them do, right? So your reels should really be helping to grow your account. These are the kind of content that are going to really help find new audience members by having, more of a broad type of reach. You want to also make content that's very nurturing, kind of more middle of funnel content that's speaking directly to your ideal viewer and saying, hey, here's how I can help you, sharing actionable tips, helpful, valuable resources, maybe some more of your story or your inside discoveries that you found that have helped you. And this will really start to build trust with you, right? By people getting to know you and how you can help them. But your stories that you post, right? Just the simple stories that you can just quickly pick up your phone and film. These are where people get to know your personality, right? This is more of your behind the scenes. This is more of your personal stories or student results. Maybe you have, client results or just results from yourself that you want to prove that, hey, I know what I'm talking about. People who work with me get good results, whatever, right? This is where we're wanting to share those things. So again, your ideal viewer or your ideal customer will see this and be like, wow, this guy, walks the walk and talks the talk. He's got tons of valuable content that he posts, but in his stories, I'm able to see kind of more of a behind the scenes and get to know more about him, which really, builds that trust and that personality, that bond between people to where they really get that connection. And then obviously call to actions. We want to really share what you're selling and let people know where they can find it. Because if you never share your offer or you never have any sort of call to actions of where people can go to buy your stuff, well, then they never will, right? So this is kind of the interval or the posting schedule I would try to stick to and to stay consistent on is just, showing up 3 to 6 times per week with some form of quality content that speaks directly to your ideal viewer avatar. We want to make sure that you're not posting just random stuff. If you're posting, memes or just sharing random pictures of your food or things that have no value whatsoever to your ideal customers, these are the things we need to stop posting. And you need to make sure you're very conscious of what you're sharing because this is your business you're growing here. And you want to make sure that people are getting something every time you post. Basically, at this point now, if you have done all three of those things, you've taken the time to figure out your person, your ideal viewer avatar, you figured out some inspiration or different creators, coaches, or business owners that you feel like create content for that type of ideal viewer avatar, and you figured out, about how frequently you want to post. That's everything you need for a valuable strategy, right? You know what topics you want to post about, so you don't have to sit there and think of ideas every day. You now know how to attract the right type of viewers, aka your buyers, instead of just any random viewers. And you know where to find inspiration and how often to be posting. So the next question you might be thinking is, well, how the heck am I going to find time to make all this content? I've got plenty of ideas flowing in. I don't know how to make any of this stuff. This is where the AI-powered content system comes in. So let's dive into this. Now, using this system has completely changed the game for me. It's gotten my total time of making content down to just a few hours per month, and then I don't have to think about it for the rest of the month, right? So instead of sitting there and second guessing or waiting for that random burst of inspiration, I now have more of a systemized routine to go to so that I can stick to this consistently without really having to think about it or spending a ton of time making content. In essence, I'm not working for my content anymore. My content's working for me now. And this AI-powered content system is basically powered by 4 S's. So let's get into the first S, which is steal. Now, by steal, I mean stealing content ideas from other people, but not how you might be thinking, right? We're not trying to steal directly from these other people or just take a content idea that you see working and just completely steal it. No, on the other hand, we're actually just trying to take pieces or components of what's working and apply that to your own brand so that you have your own authentic way of growing, right? So here's how we do this. You've got your list of pains, problems, misconceptions, all that stuff from your ideal viewer avatar, right? And you've also got your creator list or your inspiration from all these different other business owners or coaches or creators who've made the type of content that you see doing well. So what we want to do here is to take those videos that you see doing well, but what we're trying to steal from them isn't necessarily the entire idea. We want to just steal 1 to 2 pieces from those ideas, right? Now, those pieces can be either the topic of the video, which is, the pain, the problem, the misconception, the angle, whatever it is that they're talking about in the video. Maybe you want to steal just the hook or the first few seconds of the video, right? Now, this is usually going to be kind of the most important part of the video, or kind of why the video did well is usually because it had a really solid hook. So the hook is consisting of the audio, which is, what the person is saying in that first few seconds, that first sentence of the video. Visually, what's happening on screen, right? Are they jumping into the screen, or are they doing something crazy, or is there some sort of visual, paired with what they're saying? And then what text is being shown on screen? What are they actually displaying for you to read? Because all of these components have, basically showing you exactly why this hook did well. You basically need all three of these components for a really solid hook. And instead of trying to think of your own hooks, it's best to just steal some of the best performing hooks from other creators out there who are already doing really well. Now, this is what all the creators are doing. And you'll notice that you'll start to see a lot of these reoccurring hook formats appear all over the place, where you're like, wow, I kind of recognize that hook from another person, but they just kind of change things up, right? This is because they're likely stealing hooks or borrowing hooks from other creators and turning them into their own. The last thing that you can steal is the format, right? And this is the actual way that they film the video. So was this like a talking head video where they're talking to the camera like this? Was this more of like a step-by-step tutorial, maybe where they're screen recording their screen? How did they actually go about filming this video, and what type of inspiration can you take from the format? So when you're looking for inspiration, what you want to be doing is not only just looking for videos that perform well, but looking for videos that maybe have one of these three things that you could take from. This is going to save you a ton of time. So you're not trying to reinvent the wheel every single time, or you're not sitting there thinking how to structure the perfect hook, or what topics are going to do well. You can see from your inspiration, wow, this topic seemed to do very well based on the comments. People are responding very well to it. Or wow, this video got a ton of views. It must have had a pretty good hook, or the overall format must have been really well received. So these are all signs that videos have done well, and things that you can take or steal for your own content to develop your own style and figure out, your own format here. So now, once you have a few ideas that you've taken inspiration from, and you have a few solid, angles that you want to take with your content, now we need to actually write some scripts, right? Which is the second S here. All right, so when it comes to scripting, I generally like to batch script my content, right? So I'm usually making about 8 to 12 scripts per batch. And this is dependent on how many pieces of content you want to post per month, right? So for me, 12 pieces of content is about 3 pieces of content per week. And that's a good amount of content to be putting out per month. So I want to get all of these scripted all in one sitting, because this way I don't have to sit there and try to think about what I'm going to be posting all month. I have everything kind of already pre-planned and pre-written for me in advance. And this usually only takes me about 1 to 2 hours to write these. And you might be saying, well, how in the heck are you writing 12 scripts in only 1 to 2 hours? That seems like it would take forever. Well, not only are you getting inspiration from other places, you already know the pains and the topics that you want to be talking about pretty well, seeing as you're an expert in that particular field. The biggest thing that takes time is just figuring out how to structure these scripts and how to write them in such a way, that keeps them short and concise and really keeps people's engagement up. But this is where I use AI to help me, right? So using my viral content agent, which is what I was mentioning earlier when I was talking about training your AI agent with all of the information that you've discovered about your ideal viewer avatar. This is also how I'm writing all of these scripts, is after I've trained it with all that information about my ideal viewer avatar, now I have all of the proven script formulas, I have hooks, call to actions, and formatting all inserted into this so that I can just ask it, hey, give me a couple of scripts based on these particular topics or ideas, and it'll pump out these scripts for me way faster than I could do it myself. And this gets me at least 90% of the way there, so that I spend the rest of my 1 to 2 hours just kind of tweaking and cleaning up the scripts, making them sound perfectly, how I want them, and including the type of information that I'd like. But really, if it wasn't for this tool right here, I wouldn't be able to script this many scripts in that amount of time. And like I said, this is very different than just normal ChatGPT, right? Because this is my custom trained AI bot. And you can see here, I even asked it, how are you different than normal ChatGPT? And it's like, I'm different for these reasons. I have a strategic approach. I've got advanced content tools. I match your tone specifically, right? To sound like you. I'm focused on growth. I'm focused on getting more sales, making content that will actually grow your brand but guide people to your products and ultimately make more sales for you. So this thing is trained not only to make content and understand all of the intricacies of scripting, but it also is really trained to understand you and your business and help you to make more sales from your content. So this is, again, that hack for writing just tons of scripts that actually sound like me and speak to the pains of my ideal viewer avatar. You can see here's some example. I can just say, hey, write 3 hooks for those ideas that you just gave me. And it's like, boom, just spits out 3 hooks. Again, already proven with these proven hook formats. It's given me a full script here that I can basically just start writing from right away. It's got call to actions already, like comment the word start below and I'll send you a free guide to help you make your first sale online. You know, it basically speaks exactly like me already. It knows exactly how to make the content and structure it in a way that, again, I can get this and take it and now just finalize it with just a couple of little tweaks. And again, script done in just a few minutes. It's pretty insane. Now, as good as that AI tool is, I still don't fully trust it to completely write my scripts because I want to make sure that I'm giving it that human touch and especially making sure that it sounds exactly how I want it to sound before I'm just putting it out there. So you may be asking, how do I go about writing my own scripts if I want to do this on my own? What if I don't want to only rely on AI and I want to be able to do this, at least have a basic understanding of what makes a good script? Well, let me give you some tips here. All right, so when it comes to writing scripts for your short form content specifically, we want to keep things short and sweet, right? So you want to cut all of the fluff. This means keeping things literally down to just like 10 to 12 sentences max. Now, there are times when this can go over and this isn't like a solid rule, but for the most part, we want to keep things down to around that 1 minute mark. This is mainly to keep people's attention spans, entertained throughout the whole video, but also because if we want to entertain them for more than 1 minute or educate them for more than 1 minute, we should probably be sending them to some form of long form content at that point. So when it comes to short scripts, 10 to 12 sentences, that sweet spot that we're like aiming for. And really, when it comes to each line of the script, we want to really be driving people to each line by keeping them super curious to want to figure out the answer to your short. So what I mean by that is most videos you see in the very first few seconds of the video, you often are posed with some form of a question or something that makes you feel like, oh man, I got to see what's going to happen next, or I got to see how this is going to end. When it comes to educational content, we're going to be triggering people's desires or triggering some sort of a pain or a problem. Whereas with like entertainment content, you usually are just getting sucked in because you're like, oh man, this looks funny. I got to figure out how this is going to end, right? But regardless, it's curiosity that keeps you hooked and keeps you wanting to figure out what's going to happen and actually watch the whole video. So the goal when you're writing your scripts is to keep them short, keep them concise, and keep people curious to follow along to the very end of the video to get that final payoff, right? Now, if you've never written a script before ever, and you just don't even really kind of know the basic format, here's a very generic script structure that you can stick to that just kind of gives you some basic guidelines. Now, to make this even more clear, I have a little example for you. So here is the script from my viral video here, right? The video that blew up for me. Now, this video not only went viral once, but it went viral twice. I've reposted the exact same video and had it get almost another 1 million views, like 915,000 views or something. So clearly, something about this script really worked. Now, you can see here, I've divided it up and color-coded it into each of those sections, and you can even see how short this script really is. It's only about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-ish sentences, but this last sentence is kind of just like a half sentence. So you can see right around that 10 and a half sentences length. We start out right away with a solid hook, which is something that gets people curious and it poses a question. So I'm asking, have you ever heard creators on Instagram say, comment the word burgers below and I'll send you over something in your DMs. And when you comment that word, you receive an automatic DM from them in just seconds. Now, this is kind of a lengthy and wordy hook, but a lot of people responded well to this and watched through to this because they wanted to know the answer to that. They've heard somebody say, comment the word whatever in videos on Instagram, and they're probably curious, oh yeah, I have wondered how they do that, right? So the very next sentence here, I give them an answer. This is like a little mini resolution, which is why I highlighted it green, like the resolution, because I tell them, hey, the way they do this is by using a tool called ManyChat, right? But now I open up another curiosity loop. I make them curious again by saying, now the crazy thing is this tool gets them more comments on their videos, which leads to it getting more views, basically. But not only do you get more views, it also is making sales for them 24/7 without them doing any extra work, right? So this now makes people curious to say like, Well, not only did I want to know how that tool worked and what the tool is, but now I'm curious as to how it's making them get more comments and making sales for them on autopilot, right? So how do they actually do all this? Well, that's what I get into in the main value is I go step by step. Here's how you set up and DM automation using ManyChat, right? And the final payoff is the final. Now, when they comment that word on your video, they'll get sent a link automatically, to their DMs, and now it's all set and ready to roll. So within 30 seconds or 45 seconds of watching this video, they got the answer to their question. They figured out exactly what tool they used to do this, and they figured out how to set one up themselves. And then the final call to action I said is now share this with a friend and ask them, and then it just loops perfectly back to the hook where it says, ask them, have you ever heard content creators on Instagram say whatever, right? So this is my full script here. And you can see this kept people intrigued, obviously, to the end. It got a ton of shares. It got a lot of likes and comments. And so this is practical use of this scripting tips. All right, now the third step or the third S in our AI powered content system is shooting, right? So now that we've scripted all of our content, we need to shoot this. But the trick here is, again, we're going to batch film all this content, right? So I sit down in one sitting and film about 6 to 12 short form videos. If they're all already scripted out and I have everything set up for filming, I got my camera ready, I got my microphone on, all I need to do now is just shoot these scripts in one sitting. And this usually takes me about 30 minutes, maybe an hour max to film about 6 videos. If I'm doing 12, it may take me closer to like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max. But again, I spent about an hour or two writing these scripts, about an hour or two filming them. And that's all the time it's going to take me to actually produce all of the content for the month. Now, if you're not really sure how to go about setting up a studio or using all of this technical gear, even if you're just using your phone, this video here I have on YouTube, I'll share a link. It should pop up right up here somewhere on the screen. But essentially, this is exactly how I set up all of my content, regardless of what gear you have, whether it's just a phone or you're just using natural lights or, a basic setup, all the way up to more of a professional setup. Check out this video right here and it'll walk you through more detailed setup of, getting high quality visuals and audio. All right, now step 4, the fourth S. Well, maybe it's an S. Right now, you can see step 4 after shooting would be editing. Editing would be the next step, right? But editing is the bottleneck of all content businesses, right? Anytime any business is making content, editing is the one thing that's going to hold up the whole flow, right? Because, writing might be really fun and it's really exciting to come up with new ideas and to just be infinitely pumping out these ideas. But when it comes to editing, it becomes a nightmare. Now you're sitting looking at 12 videos that you just filmed and you're like, oh man, now I got to sit and edit all of these. Yeah, that's going to take some time. And that's where you're probably like, how in the heck are you possibly able to do this every single month, with just a few hours? Instead of editing your videos, you need to be sending your videos to get edited. And it's much easier than you think. Hiring an editor is really much, much more simple nowadays than it ever has been. And it's really the biggest time hack I've found when it comes to making content. You can hire editors online now for anywhere between $30 to around $100 per edit, depending on the style and depending on the overall complexity of your edits. But if you're already making money from your offer right now and you're trying to grow your content and scale things to get more sales, well, you should be investing some of your money into this content system. And paying an editor is really one of the smallest expenses you'll have as far as the amount of leverage that you get out of that expense, right? The amount of content you can put out by having an editor on your team is 10x the output when you have an editor helping versus if you're just doing all this on your own, right? So just make sure you take time to find one that you like and that really understands your brand as a whole, right? Because I've worked with editors before that just really wanted to just edit videos for the sake of editing, and they didn't really have any vision for my brand or my particular offer or my audience. They were just kind of editing randomly, and that's not what we want. We really want editors that know your brand and your goals so you can kind of grow together and really start to establish a format and like a style that you can stick with. Like my editors have helped me find over time, right? It's something that I have initially developed, but now have told my editors exactly the style I like and exactly the format that I'm going for. So together we have created this really uniform kind of style that people have commented quite a bit on and let me know that, they love my editing, they love the style, they wish they could kind of achieve that same style. And so I'm always here to help show how to do that. But my biggest tip I always recommend people is find an editor who can do what you're looking to do and bring them onto your team as soon as possible, right? So here's some of the places where you can hire editors. I've used all of these in the past and they're all great and they have different, pros and cons. But essentially the first one here is YT Jobs, ytjobs.com. It's a place where you can hire YouTube editors, writers, script writers, thumbnail creators, specifically kind of for YouTube. But obviously video editors will be able to edit short form content as well for Instagram. This is just very specifically for like content creators. So it's not going to be, writers who write books or people who are doing all these other oddball freelance jobs. It's just specifically for content creation around YouTube. Next up, you got onlinejobs.ph, and this is a great place to hire editors from overseas. So if you have editors from maybe the Philippines or from India or Bangladesh, there's all these different places where editors are located that have tons of talent, but they just don't charge maybe as much as it would be if you hired an editor here in America who's trying to get, a full-time salary income from editing, whereas some of these people overseas might be able to offer you just as good of quality of edits, but at a fraction of the price, right? And then the last place is just, on Instagram. There's a lot of video editors on Instagram who, as you post content, will reach out to you directly offering services, or you can go look for them, right? If you just search on Instagram for video editors, you'll find a bunch of accounts that pop up. You can message them and check out their work, figure out what their rates are, and see if you want to work with them. But on Instagram, I find that I can find a lot of talent, and sometimes they just come directly to me. Now, my clients that work with me and work with my system, you actually get access to my personal team of editors. So I've worked with now, a handful of editors that I've vetted out to be the top tier ones and the ones that I like their quality and style the best. If you want to work with my team of editors, you can always do that. But this is just something that I offer to my clients only. So I'll give you some more information if you do end up wanting to work with some of my editors or work with my team. I'll give you some more information on how you can do that here at the end of the video. But for now, just know that hiring an editor is going to be a huge time hack and something you should do as soon as possible if you're trying to grow your content. All right, so that is the AI-powered content system, the 4 S's, right? So now if you apply all 4 of those steps, you now know how to turn your topics and your ideas into viral scripts that will perform well in just a few hours, right? These are proven to work instead of just, kind of hoping that they're going to work based on writing these scripts from total scratch. This is how to batch film all of your content in one day so that you don't have to worry about it all month, right? You just sit down one day, film all of the content that you were able to produce for the month and be done with it. And you also know how to hire an editor to free up your time so that you can be building your business instead of editing content all day, right? So you've got tons of ideas. You have it targeted to the right type of people. You're producing this content on a weekly basis, tons of videos coming out, but you might be asking, how exactly is all of this content, bringing me in more clients and sales? How do all these views or videos actually turn to sales? Well, that's where the Superfan funnel comes in. Now, right off the bat, you might hear the word funnel and think, oh, great. So this is just going to be another long-winded funnel with a ton of tools involved and a ton of steps that just kind of complicate things and, is a nightmare to work with, right? Well, it's actually kind of the opposite. So that's why I wanted to show you this, because there are a ton of old methods that people have used and you've probably used yourself to get sales online, right? I know I've used all of these methods right here and all of them have worked, but they also come with a ton of headache, right? So the first method that I see so many people use and I've also used is this free training webinar funnel, right? This is where you're running some sort of paid ads, you're getting some form of email opt-in in order to let them into your free training. And then ultimately you're trying to sell them on the back end with some sort of a long-winded email sequence. This free training is kind of trying to condition them. Hopefully they're going to buy. If they don't though, you have some emails that'll trigger on the back end and hopefully they buy like that. But this is very long. It's very complicated. There's a lot of tools involved to set all this up. It's not, like the most effective because not many people even open all of these emails. So as far as your nurturing system to keep them kind of coming back to the funnel, it doesn't really work the best, as well as you're spending a ton of money probably. It's probably a high ad spend just to capture these email addresses, right? To get people to opt in to watch your free lead or your free training here. It's probably costing you, quite a few dollars per lead, which is just not very profitable in the end if they're not even opting in or not even purchasing, right? Another method is people just sending traffic directly to a sales page, right? So maybe you're just paying an ad or running a paid ad and sending them directly to some form of a landing page. So whether there's a video there to educate them, some sort of a video sales letter or whatever, you're expecting them to just go from not knowing who you are at all to making a purchase from you right away. And there's just no time to build trust this way, right? It's the highest ad spend probably because you're trying to get a direct conversion as opposed to, someone's email address or just capturing a lead. And there's no way to follow up. If you didn't capture their email and you're just going to a sales page, well, what if they leave the sales page? You may never see them again. You could try to retarget them with retargeting ads, but ultimately you didn't capture that lead and the chances of them buying are pretty slim. And the last method is, just straight cold DM outreach, right? And yikes. This is literally just reaching out to people randomly and saying, hey, I have a service I'm offering. Do you want it? And it's like, there are so many approaches I've gotten online now. I've seen people send me, just Loom videos saying, hey, I made this video just for you. Take a look real quick. Let me know if it's helpful. I've had a lot of people reach out, which is like some sort of free work where it's like, hey, I wrote these free emails for you. I wrote this free thing for you. The problem here is it's just like, it's impossible to build that trust and it's impossible to know what your person even needs if you're just trying to, assume what they need or their problems are via looking at their profile and then just cold DMing them. There's not been any conversation back and forth. There's been no consumption of any content, no nurturing whatsoever. You're just reaching out and saying, hey, here's some valuable stuff, right? Which is a good technique, but there's just no trust built and there's just no way to tell how good you are at what you do from just one free example like that. Especially if when people go to check out your profile, when you cold DM them and you have no following or no good content, your social profiles aren't dialed in, you're just going to look weak and people are going to be like, yikes, I do not want to work with this guy. Who is this guy in my inbox? Delete this right away, right? So these are the old funnels that so many people are using and they're just costing you a lot. They're not getting you the results you want. And they're ultimately not building a group of fans who want to buy from you. It's like an uphill battle of trying to convince people to buy from you and then asking them for the sale, which is just never going to work, which can work, but it's a total headache and costing you a ton on ad spend. The new method here with the superfan funnel is really simple. There's no extra tools needed. Well, okay, maybe there's one. There's one tool that we use, but it's very simple to set up. It decreases your ad spend because of these methods. This actually lets you get more leads and capture more people into your funnel at a much cheaper price per acquisition. It builds trust and turns viewers into super fans, and it's all automated to bring these leads to you as opposed to you going out and trying to nurture these leads yourself. Here's a little social proof of me running this funnel kind of for the first time. You can see just getting tons of comments on this video. This is that video that popped off for me after kind of implementing this funnel. People started commenting, liking. I was getting tons of DMs every single day. You can see this is all just within a few hours. Within one day, just getting tons of leads, DMing me, asking me questions, looking for services from me. Again, tons of notifications. You can see all of the contacts that actually popped in, and I was segmenting out these leads based on what they were interested in, right? So wherever they came from, I have these contacts segmented out, and these people are now coming to me, DMing me, and I have all of their information here pre-organized just based on them reaching out to me from my content. So here's how I go about building out this funnel. There are 3 A's involved in this funnel. So let's get into the first A. The first A of the superfan funnel is attention, right? So this is where we're capturing attention of your ideal viewer avatar. So your feed is going to be filling up, right? As you're making all of this content, you're going to be having a good, healthy supply of content now coming in from posting regularly. You're going to have about 8 to 12 posts per month. So your library is going to be building up of content. This is kind of your binge-worthy stuff where when people find your profile, they have content to actually watch, right? But your content's going to start to actually attract buyers because you're speaking to them directly, right? You're not just making random content hoping to go viral. You're speaking directly to these viewers. You're solving some form of problem for them. And this is going to be extremely helpful, valuable to them. So they're going to follow you, right? Just from finding your content, they're going to be like, oh, this is a valuable person I need to know about, and they're going to follow you. This is all happening organically, right? So this is all just because of you posting, people are going to start finding you. Your account's going to start to grow just organically, but it's going to be very slow at first, right? And so how can we actually start to increase the speed at which you're finding these people? Well, this is where we're going to start to use paid ads, right? But we're not just using any content or trying to make a paid ad from scratch. What we're doing is we're taking your best performing content, the content that you've been posting organically, and we're turning that into your paid ad. You've already proven that, hey, this hook works well, or people really like this video. I got a lot of comments on it. People were really responding well. It got a lot of shares. These are the type of videos that you want to use for your ads, right? And even just simple $20 to $50 a day ads on a couple of these posts can get you tons of new leads into your funnel, right? Now, the goal for these ads is to just do simple follow me on Instagram ads, right? We're not asking for an email address. We're not asking them to DM or message you. We're not even asking them to go check out your website or give you any sort of contact information. You just are saying, hey, here's some valuable information. And if you like it, follow me on Instagram, right? It'll guide people to your Instagram to follow you. So this is kind of the first step of capturing their attention, right? Is posting some really valuable content, figuring out which works best, and then putting some paid ad dollars behind those. Now, step 2 here is to automate, right? So now that we have people coming in, we're capturing their attention, we need to automate a few things, right? So they're going to start to consume more of your content organically once they follow you. After you follow somebody, your feed starts to get filled with their content kind of just naturally, right? And this is an organic thing. So a paid ad might pop up in your feed. If it gave you some value and it wasn't just trying to sell you something right away, you're like, hey, I like this person. You follow them. Now the next thing you do when you refresh your feed, you're going to start to see a bunch more of the organic content start popping up, right? This happens automatically. Now what we're able to do is start actually nurturing these leads using DM automations, right? And ironically, this is what my first video that went viral is all about, right? Is using these DM automations to kind of help nurture your audience, right? This helps send your content and help send other resources to your viewers. So as they're watching your content, they're engaging and they're getting resources automatically sent to their DMs, or they're getting other videos sent to their DMs. One DM automation I use all the time is I'll give some valuable tip in one of my videos. And at the end, I say, if you want more help, I have a valuable resource that can help you, whether that be just like a website or some sort of a free PDF maybe that I've created that can help them get even more value out of that video. And I'll say, just comment the word, PDF down below, and I'll send you over that for free. And by doing this, I get a ton of engagement. People who actually are like, wow, I want that valuable resource for free too. It's not like I'm charging for this, but this gets a ton of engagement. And this gets them now into my DMs because they had to comment this word. A DM automation is automatically sent to them. So now the conversation is kind of already started without them even realizing it, right? It's a very subtle kind of introduction where they've now basically entered your DMs without you having to cold DM them, right? By giving them some valuable information. So again, the formula there is giving some sort of actionable value, so something they can actually apply within the video that's helpful enough as is, but then you double down and give them some sort of extra download or some sort of resource as your call to action. So you say, hey, if you liked what I'm talking about in this video, comment the word, training down below, and I'll send you a link to a full YouTube video where I break it down even further. Or, I have an ebook where I dive even deeper into this topic. If you want it, comment the word blah down below and I'll send you over that link to the ebook, right? So this is a great way to just deliver or over deliver the value with your content, but automatically using DM automations. And the final A in this whole sequence is action, right? So at this point, the viewer knows you and they're going to trust you because it could take a week, it could take a month, however long it takes, they're going to be consuming your content, digesting your valuable resources that you're giving them, and they're going to really know exactly how you can help them and be practically ready to buy from you at this point, right? So this is where they're ready to take action. And so the leads are going to begin reaching out to you. This happens to me on a daily basis, like I said, because people have seen what I'm posting. People have gotten all these free resources in my DMs. They've maybe even downloaded 2 or 3 different resources from me at this point. They've watched a couple of YouTube videos now or other long form content that I've sent them, whatever I can provide for them. And at this point now, they're reaching out to me depending on what call to actions that I've introduced them to, asking for more information, saying, hey, I love that resource you gave me. Can you give me some more help on this? Or they're asking questions with, how can I work with you directly? How can I get my content to look like yours? Whatever. People are now asking me to work with me, right? So now I can start to segment these leads out. This is kind of how I showed you. I have a bunch of leads tagged with different tags to just kind of show, what they're interested in and what they maybe need help with most. But basically I can pre-qualify these leads before I actually do business with them and make sure, hey, you sound like you're going to need most help with this type of thing. So here's something I can help you with that. Here's another type of customer that maybe needs a different type of help. So I can pre-qualify them and give them the type of offer that they need specifically, right? So now I'm able to send direct booking links, offers, or links to my products accordingly based on what they're asking me for. And that's it. It's literally that simple. This whole entire ecosystem, this whole nurturing system happens all from your social media account. Technically, it all can happen all on Instagram within the span of a couple days. So they find you from an organic ad. They've been nurtured from all of your other content. They've gotten a bunch of valuable resources. They've entered your inbox, and now they're asking you questions ready to get started. You can even poke them if you want a little bit. At this point, it's not even like a cold DM outreach. At this point, they already are nurtured. So you basically are just following up and saying, hey, notice you've been following me and, consuming some of my content. Is there anything I can help you with? Or is there anything you're struggling with currently? You can open up the conversation then and see where you want to guide them. But the bonus tip here is to scale this with retargeting ads. So people who are engaging with your content, let's retarget them with more ads, sending them to more of your, long form content, more of your free trainings, more of your video sales letters. Let them know what other resources you have, what other things you can help them with. Capture their email, right? Sending them YouTube ads. If you are on Google or you're using YouTube already, these are ways that you can scale and really start to take this to the next level. So those are the 3 A's from the Superfan funnel. Now, if you're using all of those, right? If you have built this funnel and you have this content system and this strategy in place, you literally now have this exact formula to build a powerful strategy to build an authentic personal brand, valuable content that shares your expertise to a specific market of buyers. You have a system now to pump out consistent content at the highest quality and nurture your audience in just a few hours per month. And you have an automated funnel that will attract your ideal viewer, nurture them with your content, and delivers your products and offers to them on autopilot, right? So this is exactly what we've built. If you followed along and taken notes, you should have the exact steps you need to get this going. Now, you might be saying, I want to use this system, but this is a lot of steps and this seems like a lot of things that I need to implement, right? So if you want to use this exact system for yourself, there are 2 ways you can go about doing this. You maybe are the kind of person who likes to help yourself, right? So you just want to know the exact steps you need to take, exactly how to implement this, all of the copy and paste type templates and everything you can implement, but just kind of approach it at your own speed. If that's the case, I have literally a step-by-step video training material. I have all of my templates, all of my resources together in one place. You can kind of just plug and play the system right into your business at your own speed and figure things out, kind of at your own pace. Or I have a lot of people who would prefer to just work directly with me and kind of have me help them implement this system and plug it right into their business. This can help you grow your account and start to scale your leads in the next 90 days. Now, I only work with a few select business owners or coaches one-on-one like this. So if you do want to work with me one-on-one and have me help you plug this in, you can reach out to me on Instagram. Just DM me the word VFF on IG, and we can go through and see if you would be a good fit to work with me. Otherwise, if you just want all the training material and all of the stuff step-by-step laid out for you to just plug this in all on your own, I'll leave a link down below to where you can hop inside of my private school community. Inside the community, you'll have access to all of my templates, resources, and a full walkthrough of how to do all of this if you are trying to do this on your own. Otherwise, if you want me to help set it up and work with me one-on-one for 90 days, work with my editors, and kind of really get this plugged in the fastest way possible, well, then go ahead and just DM me the word VFF on Instagram and we can see what we can do for you. So I hope this video has helped you out, and I will see you in the next video.